quickly going to look into dynamic components and what they are. And if you go to VueJS's page, and there's down here where it's component basics and view dynamic components, it's basically like if you want to switch between tabs here. So we're just going to create our own, or you can reuse whatever you see online, of course. But we're just quickly going to create our own here. And first off, we need 2 components for this. So I'm just going to create 2 new ones here. And I'm just what happens in my browser? And I'm just going to call them signup1.view, and I'm going to create another one called signup2.view, like so. And we're just quickly going to have the standard stuff in here for 1 and base 2. So we have the template, the script, and the style scope here, right? Very simple. And in here we're just quickly going to create we're just going to use a form. So I'm just going to steal something from Vue. And again, if you just follow or copy, that's fine. But I'm just going to create a form here. So paste this in. So I want a form that can store, or let's vmodel with the message. And then of course I need to make sure that it can actually store the data here. So inside this, let's do a return. And then we can copy this for the other one as well. And I just want to save the message, right? So create somewhere we can store this one. So let's create an empty string for this. And let's just copy the script. Let's just copy everything. And before we do that, let's just go with an h3 telling me this is signup1. So we have a differentiation that we can differentiate. That's what I want. And here we want a h3, and let's signup2. Awesome, right? So now we have our 2 new components that is just very basic. And I just want to use the footer component for this example here. So we quickly just need to import our components so we can actually use them, and we do import. And what was it called? It was called signup1 from, and then the path for this one. And we need to go 1 back because right now we're in the view, and then we need to go to components with an S, and then signup1.view. And this is the first one. Let's just make sure I didn't break anything. So let's click save. Let's go to my browser and see if I broke something. It doesn't look like it's breaking, so it seems to work. Awesome. We also need one for the second one. So I'm just going to copy this, changing 1 to 2. And 1 to 2 over here, and then I'm just going to quickly make them print out up here. So I want to print out sign1 and signup2, but before I do that I also need to of course register them out here. So let's register our components. Let's just do this above our data here. So component with an S, there we go, and curly brackets, and in here we're going to, the first one we're going to give it a name. That's going to be signup1. And this is the component of this one up here. So I'm pasting this, and I also want let's copy this line and just change the text for this. So that's signup2 and 2. And remember the comma after this one, so it's separated. Awesome, let's see if this works. Let's print them out up here. So we want the component of correct me, there we go. And this is for signup1 and signup2. And let's save, and hopefully we get this out. So we have this run down here, and we can edit stuff, right? Oh, that's awesome. So right now we're seeing both of these, but with dynamic components, what we want to do is we want to create the tab so we can switch between them, right? So either one or the other. That's what our goal is for this this video here. So we need to somehow make it switch between these two when we're going to create 2 buttons for the, 2 buttons for this. So we can switch between these 2 forms here. First thing we want to do is we want to use something called component here. Why didn't you do this? Like so, like this, and then of course we want to just completely messed it up, and then we want to end the component here as well. Now this is most likely going to give you an error like mine is, but that's fine. What we kind of basically want to do is we want to make the system either choose one of these down here, right? So either signup1 or signup2. And the way we can do this is we are going to create something down here in our data element. So just before the, just inside the return, so sorry, before the data, not in the data, haha, we need to register like we did above. Let's call this component here, without the S, that's important. And in here we're going to, with a string, use the name here. So we're going to store this one here, and whenever this is being called up, it knows it's inside the components, and then it's going to call the actual component, right? So let's do this, save this out, and let's check this out. So now we have component down here, and up here we are needing to declare what component it needs to show. So if you hover the mouse over here, it's going to say something like element to have vbind is. So we're going to be using this here, v dash bind and colon is equal, and then we're going to type in component, because that's here, looks in here, and then it grabs the value here, this one, and then it goes back to the component. Woo, woo, woo. So let's save this, and hopefully now we have an error I can see. Let's figure out the error. So property method components not defined, instance, all right. So let's just quickly take this component here and put it inside the data element. So this here, so grab it, put it in here, and hopefully, woo, there we go. Now we have our 3 different, now that's one, actually 2 more than we want, right? So now we can see we can use components here to bind whatever element. If I switch this to sign up to, then whoop-de-doo, then it's going to print out the second one, right? So let's look into further how we can switch between them. So we need 2 buttons for this. And let's make them just after our first component. Let's make them above the component here. So we have the buttons above, like 1 button for the first one. And let's do just a type, make sure that it knows it's a button. And then we're going to use a click here, so it knows what to do when we are whatever we're doing, right? So add v on click here, and in here we're going to switch. This is where we want to make the switch between the component. So we're going to grab the component like we have before, and this one we're going to set to something. The first one, what button we want to view, this is sign up 1. And so we're going to grab the component called sign up 1, and that is the name of this one here. So let's do this and put this in. Well, what is it looking like this? This is, yes, this is correct. And then we're just going to copy this button here and do changes to this. So same. This is instead of 1, 2, and just change the text in here to 2. So this will help us click between the components. So let's just check this out. So let's remove these 2 down here because we are now using the component element here to print out just one of them and switch between them. So we have a button 1 here, says sign up 1, sign up 2, and now you can see it switches between these 2, right? It's real pretty, I know. And if I edit this, go to 2, edit this, go back, it's empty. Now that sucks sometimes. Sometimes you want actually to keep the data you printed in. For example, if you're doing like shopping carts, when you go through tab, but you don't want the system to actually remove what you did in the first one when you click the second one. That would be kind of like, right? So we're going to tell Vue that it's not supposed to like destroy this this component we done once we actually move out of it, and we can use this fairly simple by wrapping our component here, our dynamic component, in some HTML tags. So let's first do this, and let's use something called keep alive, like this, and then we end it down here, keep alive. Oops, only one of those at the end, like this, and then we save this and we refresh, and hopefully once I do edit and I switch to 2 and I do another edit and I go back, you can see I still keep the data. So we're telling the system, VueJS in this case, that whatever you do, man, don't remove this component because I'm going to reuse, I need the data from this going forward, so we just wrap it in a keep alive. And that's how we can create, where to go, components like this. This is how we can create our own simplistic version of a tab here. So different tabs that actually store data, and if you want to look how they did it, you can just click the show fiddle here. But that's how we would create dynamic components. All right.